Hey everyone, I want to introduce Greg, man. He's one of my favorite clients cuz he just come in and just did his own thing with his VA. He's definitely a seasoned investor. He does fix and flips all the time. I mean, he just finished one and he's already got another one another project in the works. Um Let me introduce Greg, man. He came in through a real estate community through a mutual partner that I have, and we already have a system for that community. But what Greg has done, he's took his VA and is like, hey, I understand y'all already have a system, but I already have my system. I already have a system that is successful. So before we get into that, Greg, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've been doing prior to teaming up with Smart Money VAs?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just to give a background on myself, I've been flipping houses. I've been a real estate investor for I don't know, probably 7 years, kind of just on the side, and then I went full time flipping houses, um, almost about a year, a little bit over a year ago, actually, and yeah, so I primarily buy my houses at auctions, and
Oh,
so I've been doing that and then yeah, just rehabbing and selling, and I it's a lot of admin stuff, and so like I mean, when I came to you, I kind of was thinking I was looking to get more leads and different ways to get more leads, and so that's kind of why I primarily reached out to you.
okay.
Um, yeah.
So with that in mind, what did you know, or did you have any inkling about what a virtual assistant was, or what a VA was, or what can they do? Have you had any experience with that prior to working with us?
Not too much, other than, or mutual friend Mike. He kind of mentioned the idea to me. I said, hey, I'm like currently, I'm super busy just working on one or two flips at a time. Like that kind of takes up all my time.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and I'm looking at how I could, potentially scale my business. And I'm like, well, these auctions are great, but in the future, like, maybe I could get better deals or something another way. So I kind of asked him different ways to do that. I'm like, I can't really be cold calling people myself, or
Right.
reaching out directly to homeowners. And so I was like, I need some help with that. And he goes, I know a guy, Charles, and he could help you out.
Yeah. So for you, your main focus was time. There was just so much, there's so many different pieces to what you got going on. And you're just like, hey, my time is a little bit worth more than being able to cold call, being able to admin, because you're on site a lot, right?
Right. Yeah. So I mean, I sub everything out. I used to do, again, this is part of the scaling. I used to do a lot of the stuff hands on myself, but
Mm.
now I've gotten to the point where I've got a couple projects going on at a time, so I'm subbing everything out. But I mean, ultimately, Charles, you flip houses too. It's like
Yeah.
if you're not there checking on things, even if you're not
Right.
doing the work, it's it's not going to get done the way you want it done. So yeah, I can't be at home all the time, doing this admin work and calling homeowners or whatever needs to be done. It's need to be as efficient as possible with that type of stuff.
So, Greg, what I liked about when you came in, you already had a system. You already knew exactly what you wanted to do. And I'm not gonna lie, you're one of my easiest clients. Like, like a lot of clients, you gotta hold their hand. You gotta make sure, like, hey, okay, do this and do that. But I think we had kind of already, working with our mutual partner Mike. He kind of already had a system in place, and I was talking about, I was like, well, Greg, I don't think Greg needs to use that system. I think he already has his system. And then so I'll check on with the VAs, because you have Lori, and Lori is one of my seasoned VAs. She's been with the company for almost a year now. And I love Lori because she's straightforward and she just gets things done, nothing in between. So when when I talked to Lori, she's like, well, he has me doing this, he has me doing this. I'm like, okay. Well, I said I like that because some people can't get creative in it, and I know
Yeah.
it gets kind of hard sometimes to always constantly trying to create tasks for them to do. But
Mhm.
what I seen that you were doing were you were knocking out stuff that you probably wouldn't have been able to do before, right? You
Mhm.
were kind of experimenting with things, going back and forth. She will come back to the group, try things, throw things out to her other colleagues, the other VAs, and just see them working. And it's all because of what you had her doing outside of the norm of what
Yeah.
the real estate community that we came from. So they were doing stuff out the norm. So tell us about that, what your process was with trying to create tasks. I know you were trying to scale, and I know you were trying to get some of your time back, but just
Yeah.
tell me about your process of creating tasks and some of the tasks that you have her do that we didn't have already in the system.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, to be honest, I kind of came up with this all on the fly. So originally I was thinking like, I want to scale, I want to get more houses, do more deals, whatever. And I was thinking the way to do that would be like, I'm going to find different ways to prospect. Um, but honestly, I was like, well, the way I've been finding houses is working. And it's like, like, why try to recreate the wheel?
Correct.
Um, and I was like, there's more opportunity there. So I'm like, well, I guess we might as well just maximize this opportunity we already have in front of us before we go look at different, avenues. So that was kind of the initial thought process, I guess, was like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm like, I'm mostly just doing one auction a week, and I'm like, okay, well, there's other auctions out there. I haven't really researched them too much because, again, like time is very limited.
Right.
So I was like, hey, this is like I'm spending a ton of time just doing admin stuff, and I'm like, if I could just teach Lori how to do all this stuff, I'm like, it could add a lot of time back in my day. So it's all very organized. I have spreadsheets for everything, exactly what I'm looking for. Um, you spend a little bit of time on the front end just training, like, hey, this is how you fill out the spreadsheet. These are the websites you're going to need. I get her set up. I'm like, these are all the different auction websites. Save these to your favorites. I get her set up on that. And then now I've kind of just been throwing a lot of stuff at her and doing a lot of training. And then now we're kind of working on getting a little bit more structured. So like, hey, on Mondays, I want you to do, go and check these websites and make sure we have like the most up-to-date houses on there. And then like, uh, I've even been having her send me like calendar invites because it's like, you got 6 different auctions, and some weeks you'll have 4 auctions in 1 week, and you got a busy schedule with the projects you're working on. So I'm like, okay, like all the auctions, like just go send me a Google Calendar invite.
Right.
Which seems like how much time does that really take? But it's like, no, it like once you add it all up, it's all valuable time. And then I'll have a I mean, when you're running a business, you're always thinking like, what's something different I could do to, make this more profitable, something I can do to scale or whatever. And like, I'll randomly have these ideas pop in my head. And I was like, for instance, like, I'm like, okay, I want to try an idea I've always kind of had. I played with was like, I want to stage my houses that I flip. I never done it, but I'm like, from what I've read, it's like, you get more for your house and it sells
Yep.
quicker. I'm like, okay, I want to look into this. So I'm like, okay, Lori, like I want to find like, some staging companies. Go look up, three staging companies for me, give me their pricing, pictures of what they have or whatever. Kind of just give me a rundown of 3. I was like,
Right.
okay, perfect. And then I went, I looked at them, I found one that worked, and I decided I'm going to go with this. And then I'm like, okay, perfect. So I got them set up, I tested them out, and then I got the bill from the staging company. I'm like, well, it's probably like more than I want to pay on every house. But I'm like, I'm doing enough houses consistently. I'm like, well, what if I just had my own stuff? And so what I'm thinking now is I'm like, okay, well, maybe I could even like be like, hey, this is all the stuff that the staging company uses. Can you like put together a
Yeah.
card for me on Amazon or IKEA? I haven't decided what I'm going to use, but like be like, yeah, put together this stuff for me, and then I'll go and purchase it. And then on the other side of that, I'm like, well, what am I going to do with this stuff if I like don't like have a house to put it in? And then now, like, since I've been flipping houses, I have all these tools and everything. I'm like, man, I need to get some storage. So that was another project I put Lori on. I'm like, here's my address. Here's where I live. Find me like, 3 to 5 storage facilities where I can store my stuff at, and
Right.
kind of let me know. Just because anytime you're shopping for a new service, it's like there's certain criteria you want to look at, and so I'm like, just kind of give me a breakdown of what you think I need to know about, renting a storage unit.
Right.
And so that was great. I didn't have to do it. I didn't have to mess around with, calling and getting pricing and waiting on hold and to talk to a sales rep or whatever. And to be honest, I really just don't like to do that stuff either. So
who does, right? Who
yeah.
does?
But on the opposite side, I think too, I'm pretty sure, she appreciates it, kind of mixing things up and doing something different, during the day.
No, I think you hit it on the head, because I've actually talked to Lori and she said you're very easy to work with. She said you're very kind to her. And then she does like the breaking up of the monotony of just cold calling every day. These VAs are used to just cold calling every day.
Yeah.
And what I like to encourage clients is that I like to use mine as a personal assistant. Like, so anything I can come up with, if I need, I'll just send a message out. Hey, can you look up this? Hey, can you do this? So I already see that you're using a course admin task, a lot of research, right? So you're having them do the research, and then you get to do whatever you want, and then she just reports back to you whenever you get the time. You come back and look at it, go over it, and then you'll set another set of a task or details that she needs to look into for the next day. I mean, I like it. So let me ask you this. So the value, because that's what we want. That's what we like to focus on, right? Because I know you're getting your time back, and and time is one of the most valuable resources that we have, because you can't get it back. So tell me about the value, because I'm gonna go ahead and let the secret out. You're paying her $80 a week, correct?
Yeah, $80 a week for 20 hours. So
yeah, 80 hours a week. So that's part-time. And then so tell me about the value, and tell me how them 4 hours, how productive can she be in those 4 hours with you paying her $80 a week?
Yeah. So I mean, the way I look at it is I break it down just like that, and I do this with my contractors as well. I think about it. I'm like, well, how much time would it take me to do this task, and how much do I think my time is worth? And
right.
Like, I mean, there's how much money you're making now and how much you want to be at. You know what I mean? And so it's like you can't be thinking like I make X amount now, and so my time's worth. It's like, no, I want to be at here. And so I'm going to start paying myself like I'm up here. Yep. And so for me, it's like if she can get done, and she's way more productive than this, but if she could get done in 1 week in 20 hours, what I get done in 1 hour, I'm like, okay, like we're coming out ahead.
Right.
So
yeah, you got to have that thought process.
Yeah,
because you don't necessarily have her on revenue generating activity, but you have her on research stuff that you're just not going to go do. Some stuff that you're not going to pay a regular person to go do. Have an admin trying to pay them $12, $15 an hour, trying to do all these things.
And that's something I've thought about before I really knew about the virtual assistant. I mean, I've always known about virtual assistants, but for me, the biggest reason why I never got one until Mike recommended using your service was I just was like, who do you trust? Like,
right.
So, and I'm like, hey, you got someone from another country, which I mean, they're great, hardworking people and everything like that. But it's like, I don't know them. I don't know if they're legitimate or not, or if they're going to be working. I don't know if I could trust, Charles.
Right.
Now I do, but like just that referral of like knowing someone who's done it is huge for me.
And that's a big thing that I try to because all our VAs come vetted. I don't know what process did we go through. Did you get the interview, or did I just pick Lori for you?
Yeah. So we did the. You sent me the video resumes.
Video resumes, right?
Yeah. Actually, and then so you sent me the video resumes, and then you asked me which ones I want to do interviews for, and we picked a couple, and then and then I chose Lori. Lori was one of the ones that I interviewed though.
That kind of stood out. Yeah, like I said, Lori's actually worked with other clients before. And Lori's had some rough experiences with clients, because clients are tough to deal with. So when she talks about you, Greg, she always, her words, he's very kind to me.
Good.
He's very kind to me. And so you can just imagine with clients, because I try to vet the clients as much as I can. I mean, of course, y'all are paying for a service, but I know certain clients can be a certain way, just unreasonable with the demands, not organized, not as savvy in their space as they should be. So it's kind of almost like the blind leading the blind. But in this case, I was so happy for Lori that she got a client like you, because you already had things going. You already had a system. You already were successful at what you were doing. So only thing you had to do is just wrap your head around, okay, how am I going to utilize her? And you already had something in your head, and you just went to work. Mm-hmm. That's why I said you're one of my easiest clients. I mean, I was checking on you every week, and I was like, okay, he doesn't need to be checked on. They got their own. They got their own system. She doesn't have any complaints. He doesn't have any complaints. Mike hasn't said anything about any complaints. So I'm like, okay, Greg's easy client. And I was like, I got to get an interview with Greg, because I want to know what he's thinking and how he feels about the service. And I already kind of assumed that the service was working for you, but I just wanted to dig in a little deeper of like what you had going on. And I mean, I'm proud. I'm amazed, and like I said, I'm excited to see how you scale in the future. I know the service that you signed up, you're available for 2 of the VAs. I know you got 1 VA part-time. And I like to have the clients, start part-time. And then if you wanted to scale up, you can move her to full-time. Or if you want to scale up, you get another VA, and you can have Lori train the other VA. Or if you wanted to put that other task, as you scale and time goes on, you might see something else that, hey, I need another VA just to attack that for another 4 hours. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think you're on a great path. You're on a great trajectory of success when you're scaling and you're doing all this research. You're doing stuff that every time something pops in your head, Lori, check this out for me.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how I use my VAs.
Yeah, and it's awesome because there's just certain things where it's like, this would not take me that long, but I just know it's just a matter of me getting a phone call, and then it drags me off the task, and then it just gets put off,
Right.
So it's been awesome. And then back to your original question about, getting your own personal assistant here versus like the virtual or whatever. It's just like, that's something I looked into before too. And it's just the value of it. It's like, if I feel like, maybe I'm utilizing half for time or whatever, or something like that, it's you're not sweating it, because it's not that big of a deal at the end of the day. It's like $80 a week. And it's like the value I've gotten for, $80 is nothing compared to what she's done, so.
Right. We're talking about $80 a week, and she's an intricate part of running a 6-figure business. Mm-hmm. On the way to being multi-million, because I see the way you're scaling. I know you see it. You're going to be multi-million and soon, like in the next 5 years, we can go ahead. We're going to go ahead and claim it. We're already going to claim it because you're already on that trajectory of going there. And Lori's going to be right there with you. And like I said, you have another VA. So I know that's just so valuable when you can just pay somebody $80 a week and you get so much productivity out of somebody out of those 20 hours. Out of those 20 hours. So that's big. That's why I'm in this business, because I think it's this secret society of having a VA is really big to entrepreneurs, real estate investors.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you coming on here to tell this story. Is there anything else that we might have left out that you want to tell the people?
I don't think so. What one comment I wanted to have on something you said though that hadn't really occurred to me is the idea of like, well, I bought the package for two VAs, and the
Right.
idea that like I can now have Lori just train the new VA which is like so obvious, but it for some reason it just hadn't occurred to me. But
Right.
I've just been like, the way I've been looking at my business and everything I do, and different other revenue streams I've been working on is like, I want to be in businesses and everything I do. I want to like put this work in on the front end,
You
and
have to.
then on the back end, it's like, okay, I got this on autopilot. It's running now.
Yep.
That's awesome, because for me, it was like on the front end, like I put in a lot of work with Lori. Not a ton, but I mean, we a decent amount. And she's a quick learner too. So it's nothing about that either. It's just a matter of like, hey, this is all brand new to her. I gotta teach her. But then now it's like, okay, it's running on autopilot. She's just updating everything I need her to update when it's updated, and it's going smooth. And then the fact that then I could even bring someone else brand new and I don't have to worry about any training, that would be awesome. Like not to say it'll be totally hands off, but it'll be a fraction of the time.
No, and seriously, and that's why I recommend, hey, the package that I recommend is the package that you got. And then I always like that, like I said, 4 hours. Let's just start with the 4 hours a day. So you won't, first of all, be paying for 8 hours and you're like constantly dreading, oh, I gotta have more tasks. I gotta have more tasks. Is she getting it? Them 4 hours, you really, okay, it's really real cut short, right? Get in there 4 hours, get these tasks done, and go on about your business. Then the next day, 4 hours versus, all right, she done. If she's doing full time, she has 8 hours. Well, you already know people in America, they're going to steal time. So you would have to assume somebody in another country, if the boss doesn't say anything,
Yeah.
I'm chilling until they say something. Those 4 hours, I don't think they have time to chill. So I think we're doing it right. I think we're scaling right. I think you're doing everything perfectly right. Y'all said you're an easy client to work with. I already see your future being big. Just let me know when you need your other VA. We'll get somebody in there. Lori will have them trained up. I know you got to go soon because you gotta go meet with the contractors at a flip that you're doing now.
Yeah.
And you got to go meet them. Lori's already at work. she's already logged in. So I don't.
She already send me my good morning message every day. She always checks in with me, which I really appreciate. So
Yeah, no, look, I don't know if she's sending you emojis yet, but I try to tell the client, I mean the VAs, hey, the clients like good mornings, emojis and stuff like that. So but one thing before we go, because I think people there's a misconception that people have that when you get a VA just comes in and will save your business, run your business, and all this other stuff. But you kind of already have to have a workflow, a knowledge of what you have going on. So just tell us, because Lori did have real estate experience. She knew how to do wholesaling and she worked with CRMs before. But like I said, you came with a whole nother system outside of what Mike had for his of his students. How much time a week would you say that you have to put up front with your initial training with Lori?
At the very beginning,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good question. I mean,
So
I
she's
was
working
thinking,
20 hours a week, right? So, I mean, were you putting in an hour a day with her and then let
I
her
was
go
gonna
on?
say, yeah, at least a couple hours a week. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it was nothing too crazy. And the way I did it, like if I to be honest, I kind of didn't necessarily know what I was going to have her do, but I just knew I needed help. So I
Mhm.
kind of for me it was like it was maybe only a couple hours, a week, but like that went on for a while, like, and I'm still training her on stuff, new tasks that I think of. I'm like, I'm still doing this. I should have her do this. Like it's, and like now it's minimal though. It's like I'll find something and maybe I'll show it to her and it'll be a half hour long,
Right. Could you just
and
show
we're
them
done.
kind of one time, give them clear instructions? I mean,
Yeah.
they obviously follow directions very well.
Yeah. And
Um,
then you just check. You like, oh, did they do this like I wanted to? And if they didn't, just, make a correction and they'll get it right that time. Like
yeah,
it's
so I'm glad you said that because, like I said, that's one of the biggest misconceptions, and I think that's one of the big things that Mike does very well is the on continuing training,
mhm.
right? Because you just can't just throw her in there and then talk to her once a week. Because I mean, people do that, right? But Mike is always continually trying to train, and I see you're always continuing because there's new tasks that's coming up. It's like you use
Yeah.
her as your personal assistant. Some tasks are not going to be every day or every week, so you're always trying to think of something to grow your business, try to stay ahead of the curve,
Yeah.
and I think that's a big point that I wanted to make is that you, even though Lori did come in with a real estate knowledge and understanding how to do formula pool comps and everything, you didn't utilize her for that. You utilized her for something totally different, but still inside of
Yeah.
real estate investing. And you took the time, only a couple hours a week, to show her something new that she might not have knew before, and she picked it up immediately.
Yeah.
I love it, man. I love it. So, Greg, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you got to get out there and and handle your biz on your way to your multi-million-dollar business that's well on the way. Um, I want to wish you well with your new flip. You just closed one
Thanks.
out,
Yeah.
man. Just much respect to what you got going on, and I really appreciate you trusting my service, trusting Mike, believing in Mike and what we got going on. And I'm glad Lori is able to help you, do the things that you need her to do to able to scale your business moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Thanks, Charles. Yeah. It was always good talking to you. And I even got something out of this too. And looking forward to getting that second VA.
Right. Yeah. Just let me know, man. I appreciate it, man. You have enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Thanks. You too.
Thanks.